Yeah.
Fine.
Hmm?
No, I gotta, oh,
Okay.
sorry, John, I just saw that. I just saw that. She looked up, so.
Good evening. The Colton Joint Unified School District Board of Education meeting is called to order. Today is Thursday, August 4th, 2022. The time is now 5:31. Welcome, everyone. Mrs. Medina, can you please take roll call attendance of the board members present?
Board Member Flores. Board Member Fuentes.
Present.
Board Member Ibarra.
Present.
Board Member Haro. Board Member Thoreen Ojeda. Here. Board Member Mrs. Flores.
Present. Thank you, Joanne. We will begin today's meeting as we do every meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I am going to ask our Vice President, Board Member Thoreen Ojeda, can you please lead us in the flag salute?
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice President Thoreen Ojeda. We do have an interpreter present who is available for Spanish-speaking persons who need assistance. Cynthia Bueno is available, and she's on her way. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you, President Flores. Good evening, everybody. Muy buenas noches a todos. Yo soy Cynthia Bueno, soy traductora y recepcionista del distrito. Esta noche estaré ofreciendo servicios de intérprete. Si alguien desea escuchar la reunión en español, me encuentra en la mesa trasera, donde pueden pedir un dispositivo que pueden escuchar. En cualquier pregunta, no duden en buscarme. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Cynthia. Item 1.3. I need a motion to adopt the agenda with the following amendments. We have an addition of one certificated coach, varsity football assistant boys, addition of one classified coach, head varsity wrestling boys, and addition of 5 volunteers. Need a motion?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Okay. On motion by Board Member Fuentes and Board Member Haro, the board adopted the agenda as recommended. This evening, we have a special presentation, and we're in item 2.0. We have the introduction of new management, and I would like to invite Assistant Superintendent Dade to introduce the new members of our management.
Good evening, Board President Flores, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and our members here in the audience and at home. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce you to our new administrators this evening. And so I'd like to first invite Azucena Paez Herrera. If you can please join me. Yeah, don't be afraid, you can come up here, it's okay. And Azucena has a speech for you this evening, so I'm going to go. No, I'm just joking. But come on over here. Come over here. Just joking. So excited for Mrs. Paez Herrera. She has been named based on your appointment as the new principal of Jurupa Vista Elementary. And she comes to us with a plethora of experiences, being a teacher for over 10 years, being in administration at 2 different elementaries, and really filling a very difficult void with at Lincoln Elementary, as one of our principals deals with some personal issues. But she's done a great job there. We know she's going to do a wonderful job at Jurupa Vista, and just wanted to congratulate her this evening. And did you bring any family members or friends? Okay, cool. So now you get to talk to the board a little bit if you like. Say thank you to the board.
I want to go ahead and thank everybody for giving me this opportunity to be the principal at Jurupa. I'm very excited and honored to be there with them. I love my staff. I love the district, and I'm going to make sure that I make you guys proud.
So one more round of applause, please. Next, I'd like to invite up our new principal at McKinley Elementary, Resha Lang. No, take your time, take your time. So we're all familiar with Tabrisha as well, and Tabrisha has a great background as well that we know would help to lead McKinley to the next steps that they need to achieve and reach all of their goals. And she's had a variety of experiences in the administration ranks and as a teacher as well, and has been, been a part of the district for several years. And so it's an opportunity, it's a great opportunity to introduce Tabrisha Lang as McKinley Elementary Principal. And now I'd like to give her a little bit of time to address the board.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much to everyone, the board, just Colton, the community as a whole. I've been with the district now just a little bit under over 4 years. And I tell you, I've learned a great deal, and I'm glad that I chose to come into Colton and have the opportunity. I'm glad that you've allowed me to stay and still be part of the growth and the love. And other than that, we are just going to have an amazing time supporting our babies, our students, our community, and doing the best that we always do. So thank you again.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
And one more round of applause, please. Next, I'd like to invite up Brittany Jones, our new assistant principal at DRC Elementary. So Brittany comes to us from Central School District, where she was a teacher for over 10 years, had a lot of administrative opportunities. And what I mean by that is she was so trusted as an instructor and a teacher that they gave her opportunities to lead at her particular site. So we're very excited. And when we did our reference checks, they were very sad that they lost Brittany. So although I'm smiling on the other side of the phone, I was saying, oh, I'm so sorry we had to do this to you. But we're happy that Brittany is here and want to give you an opportunity to address the board.
I want to say thank you for believing in me and giving me this opportunity to work for Colton Joint. I'm very excited. I love the staff, and I'm really happy at the placement that you've chosen for me.
Welcome to Colton. Congratulations.
And one more round of applause, please. And next, I'd like to invite up our new assistant principal at Grand Terrace Elementary, Sean Duarte. Sean comes to us with a very interesting resume. He has been a counselor at every level, school counselor. A fun fact that I really intrigued us was he's had some great teaching opportunities, and one of the teaching opportunities was he's an adjunct professor at one of our local colleges here. And so he's comes to us with a very, very great resume. And once again, in doing his reference checks, they felt like he was a big loss coming from the district that he comes from. So San Bernardino Unified will miss you, Sean, and they told me to make sure to say that this evening. But they definitely are so excited for your next steps in your journey. So I'd like to give Sean a chance to address the board.
Thank you very much. Hello, thank you very much for selecting me, and I'm very thankful to join your guys' school district. I'm excited. I hope to always keep the kids first, and that's my #1 goal. And I'd like to thank you guys, and definitely like to thank my beautiful wife, who just happens to be a 5th grade teacher, and she keeps me in check quite a bit. So I'm very thankful for that. And again, I thank you, and I hope to make you guys very proud. Thank you.
Welcome to Poland. Congratulations. Yes.
And one more round of applause, please. Next, I'd like to invite up our new assistant principal at Grimes Elementary School, Celine Workman. It seems to be like a longer and longer walk for everybody, but take advantage of it. So you can come up here if you like. Yeah. All right. So a lot of us are familiar with Celine. She does great work no matter where she's at. And she spent some time at Bernie Elementary as a teacher where she worked her magic, and then spent some time recently as a TOA at Mckinley Elementary where she will be greatly missed. And so once again, an individual who's been a part of our wonderful district for over a decade, and we're so excited about her next steps as an assistant principal. So Celine Workman.
I am honored with this opportunity. I see Colton as my hometown. I'm a 3rd-generation Colton High School graduate. So it's so wonderful to come back and to give to my community. So thank you for this opportunity.
Congratulations. Yes.
And one more round of applause, please. Next, I'd like to invite our new assistant principal at Lincoln Elementary, Dr. David Brutus. All right, I think you beat everybody's time walking up here, so it's good, it's good. So Dr. David Brutus comes to us once again, as we did reference checks, very, very disappointed that they were losing him, but ultimately I'm so happy for our district. And so it's a small world because Dr. Brutus is known by quite a few people, but the funniest story happened during his interview where he's coming from the East Coast area, am I correct? And he was like, you know what, I want to get a job by the beach, so I'm gonna go to California. And so he gets here and he ends up in Victorville. And I was like, you're a long ways away from the beach. So you're a little bit close to the beach now, but yeah, there's a lot of sand, but not a lot of water. But ultimately, Dr. Brutus comes to us with a great background. He's been called a math and science expert. He has had administrative experience across the continuum. He was an intervention teacher. But the one thing that resonated with his reference checks is that he really believes in people and really cares and really puts himself second to make sure students and staff achieve the goals that they hope to achieve. And so once again, I want to congratulate Dr. Brutus on being our new assistant principal at Lincoln Elementary.
Thank you so much. I'm hoping he's recording this so I can tell my wife the good things about me. Thank you, board members. Thank you, superintendent, and thank you to the whole executive cabinet for giving me an opportunity to come and co-labor with this team, and looking forward to working with experienced educators so that way I can learn and grow, and hopefully I can be an asset for the next generation that's coming up. So again, thank you for the opportunity. And I'm blessed to have a great team at Lincoln. And I want to say a special shout out to Dr. A, who has been a great support from day one. Thank you.
Welcome to Coleman. Congratulations.
And one more round of applause, please. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing our new assistant principal at Joe Baca Middle School, Brianna Hawkins. So Brianna is coming home. So if you remember, Brianna was at Colton Middle School as an assistant principal and did wonderful work there. And this was another tough call because we stole another person from Upland Unified. And so once again, very much will be missed there. Brianna has taught. She's been an administrator at both the high school and middle school level. And once again, just so happy to have her return home to continue to do the great things that I've heard that she's done in other places. And so welcome back, Brianna, and I'll give you a chance to address the board.
Well, Brandon took my line. I was going to talk about coming home, but that's gone. So no, thank you so much to everyone for this opportunity. So excited to join Colton and work with Dr. Scribner. And I'm just really excited to come back because it does truly feel like coming home. So thank you so much.
Welcome back and congratulations. Yes.
All right, one more round of applause, please. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Assistant Superintendent Ade, and congratulations to all our new administrators. And we wish you the best, and we know we've had a lot to look forward to, so thank you. We are moving on to item 3.0, public comment. Board bylaws 9323 states that individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 15 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. The Board of Education is appreciative of the public comments made by the community. However, just as a reminder, the board does not respond to public comments made during the board meetings. Okay, we ask that the appropriate public comment card be filled out. Each speaker will be invited to the podium, and we ask that you begin by stating your name and your city of residence. With that, I'm going to call Joaquin Lastillejos.
Good evening, Board President Flores, Board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and members of the audience. My name is Joaquin Castillejos. I am a resident of Bloomington, and I've gone to Colton Joint Unified School District schools all my life. Zimmerman, Ruto Harris, and Bloomington High School. I wrestled on the Bloomington High School wrestling team. I even won a CIF champion for them. So, you know, I love representing Bloomington, and I love Bloomington and everything about it. But what I don't love is the warehouses and our schools being sold to warehouses. You know, I've seen your presentation. I've seen all your reasonings behind it. But what I still don't understand is why the parents and the students and the community was not involved in this process. And we all know why is because you knew that the parents were not going to like it. We heard you yesterday at the MAG meeting, or your lawyers saying you didn't want litigation, you didn't want lawsuits, and that's why you did it behind closed doors. So we know what you're scared of. We know you're scared of the backlash from the community. And what even angers me even more is that you couldn't even have the decency to wait until the end of the MAG meeting to hear what the public had to say. You just walked out like cowards. I'm sorry to say that word, but it's true. We told you to stay and you didn't want to stay. What was that? I'm sure that none of you were watching the YouTube live stream. I know it. I know you were just leaving with your tails behind your back because you were scared to see what the people had to say. But this was not right. And I'm just pleading to the board to please stop this sale. And before making any type of decision like this, to have the community in mind. This should have been a community process. This should have been a process where this could have been an opportunity for you to show the community that you're really about the people. You could have had a community forum, something to show the community that you value their input, but you didn't. And it's because you don't value the community. Thank you.
Caitlin Tan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Caitlin Town. I reside in Redlands, California, but I'm a teacher at Joe Baca Middle School. I attended the Bloomington MAC meeting last night, as I have for the past 18 months, save for this past July. I have not seen a member of CJUSD board or Dr. Miranda there to discuss issues pertaining to Bloomington until last night, when the CJUSD made an hour-and-a-half long presentation at the request of the MAC about their decision to sell Zimmerman Elementary to Howard Industrial, the developer who is hoping to build a massive warehouse in South Bloomington that would tear down homes across 210 acres. There were several members of the community there to give public comment. Dr. Miranda, Mr. Fuentes, Mrs. Haro, and Mrs. Flores did not stay to hear the public comments. Even after I walked outside and asked Dr. Miranda to stay to listen to our concerns, they left. To say I am disappointed and frustrated is an understatement. I'm also disheartened and dumbfounded by the district's decision to sell Zimmerman Elementary to a warehouse developer. You know as well as I do that declining enrollment is a huge issue our district has been dealing with for the past few years. The other issue is climate change. Allowing more warehouses into our area will exacerbate both of these issues. $45 million? How much does that really buy? Yes, that's a lot of money, but at what cost? Would you sell your family's legacy for that? Would you sell out your family's homes or memories or quality of life for that? Another important question to ponder is, if over 200 homes will be bulldozed in that plan, who will attend the new fancy Zimmerman? Zimmerman is not only the only school that will be affected by the Bloomington Business Park specific plan. Is $45 million enough to move BHS, where I attended and graduated proudly from, Ruth O. Harris Middle School, where I also attended, Crestmore, Sycamore Hills, Joe Baca Middle School, Slover Mountain High School, right here? All of these schools will be affected negatively if the Bloomington Business Park specific plan is built. Our district will be torn apart. Our district will lose South Bloomington, and who knows, maybe all of Bloomington. We have generations of students and families who have grown up, excelled academically, built a community here, who are proud to be from Bloomington, who are proud to wear their Bloomington High School Letterman's jackets, who are proud to wear their JBMS Grizzly Strong shirts, who are proud to be a Bulldog from Ruth O. Harris Middle School. Does that mean nothing? Is $45 million worth getting rid of all of that? I was happy, proud, excited, and honored to start my 9th year as a teacher at Joe Baca Middle School yesterday. It means the world to me to be able to serve this community where I grew up. And I just want you to reconsider this decision that you have made that will rip our families apart and rip our district apart. Please do not sell to warehousers.
Ana Carlos. Ana Carlos.
Hello, my name is Ana Carlos. I'm a parent of 3 CJUSD children, and Thank you to some administrators who were able to stay today because this is a big deal happening out in Bloomington. This is the Bloomington Business Park. This is Bloomington High School. And I'm very concerned because if this can happen to Zimmerman, this could happen to Bloomington High School. The point was that the sale transfer of Zimmerman would go through because they didn't want it surrounded by warehouses. Bloomington Business Park would be on the south side of Bloomington High School. And now to the north side of Bloomington High School, we have the Duke Realty coming. So what are we gonna do? Dan Flores said it's like a new renaissance in Bloomington. It's not just gonna affect one school, but maybe 2, 3, 4. How many schools is this gonna affect? Is there something that you guys know that we don't? We are afraid of the future of Bloomington High School, Ruto Harris Middle School. Sycamore Hills already has warehouses right next to them. Joe Baca Middle School has warehouses. So what's the future of our schools? The role of the school board is to ensure that the school district is responsive to the values, beliefs, and priorities of the communities. I'm also a teacher. I'm a mother. I love Bloomington. I love having my kids live in a rural, small type community, riding horses, tending to farm animals. That's the richness I'm able to give my children. And instead of valuing that type of lifestyle that most of our Hispanic colored children have there in that area, you kind of gave in to Howard Industrial. And it just so happens that it's a big coincidence that Howard Industrial, the person who's going to buy this Zimmerman Elementary, just so happens to be a donor to one of our school board members, Dan Flores. Just a big coincidence, I guess. I'm very upset about this. And your job as a school board is to ensure the future of the district. And wiping out all of South Bloomington, what future do we have for our kids? What are you telling my kids? That warehouse is their future? Hashtag CJUSD cares? Really? Like, what are you telling my kids? That's gonna ruin their mental health. Just seeing warehouses instead of beautiful green hills and animals and nature we're so lucky to have. We walk out of our backyard and we point out the owls, the bats, and we have that rich culture where they're learning just in their environment, and they're so lucky to have that. But you guys went ahead and sold to Howard Industrial, who just sees us as cheap land and sees us as an easy community that they were able to come in and discriminate against.
Okay, moving on, we have, that concludes public comment. We have administrative presentations, 4.0. We have a safety presentation of COVID-19 and a COVID-19 update. And I would like to invite Assistant Superintendent Dr. Ortiz to present.
Good evening, Board President Flores, members of the board, Dr. Miranda, members of the Executive Cabinet, and audience present here and at home. Pleasure to be here tonight to talk about two topics that are not only fall under the responsibility of the Student Services Division, but also two topics that are pertinent and everyone's interested in knowing more about: the safety plan and COVID-19 update. Next slide. So Executive Cabinet, based on our LCAP and our CJUSD design plan, was charged with establishing some priorities for the division. My 4 priorities for the division obviously include safety, attendance, well-being, and partnership. All 4 of those priorities lead back to student achievement. They don't necessarily direct impact, but indirectly, all 4 of those things are working together, and kids feel good and safe about coming to school. You will see an increase in learning. Next slide. So just that slide just depicts some of the more specifics that I have identified for those general priorities. The one I'll talk about tonight, I want to highlight is safety, is just ensuring that all staff, students, and visitors enter a safe and secure environment. But also that we're prepared to effectively respond to any emergency that comes our way. Having our safety department, and this was a word that they used, be highly visible and responsive. and also having them focus on engagement and relationships with students, staff, and community. We want their involvement at the school site to take on a different look this year. So attendance and just focusing on students being in class on time, well-being, making sure that everyone socially, emotionally, mentally is feeling safe and secure, which all leads again back to learning. We want a positive school climate. And partnerships, we can't do it without families and students and everyone working together. So those are our 4 priorities. Next slide. So when I talk about student safety, I'm going to talk about, you'll see in the slides that there's an infusion of physical, psychological, and social, emotional safety. And all 3 of those play a part, again, as kids feel safe and successful. All 3 of those need to be part of what we do and provide here for Colton Joint Unified School District. Next slide. So when we talk about safety, I also want to, put out there that it is important for everyone to feel that they are part of keeping our students safe. It doesn't just fall on one division, one department, one group of people. It is all of us working together to make sure that our families, students, staff, and visitors feel safe. So the next few slides, you'll see just each slide, each stakeholder group represented on that slide, their different responsibilities. So the division will be broken down into the 3 departments specifically that will deal with safety. So next slide. So from a district, by direction and leadership of the board, we've been very proactive in Colton Joint Unified School District. We not only maintain a safety and security department who are here represented tonight, but we also fund 4 school resource officers who really stationed at the high school, but they also support our middle school and elementary schools, which is important. We maintain a behavior and mental health department with the director, 2 supervisors, and we will have about 42 interns this year. And then also we have 18 elementary school counselors. So all of those things show the commitment to CJUSD families that we do care about their students and staff. Next slide. From a division standpoint, per recommendation of one of the board members, we are working with our insurance company to conduct 4 site safety assessments of our schools, and then we will utilize that same safety assessment to apply them to the rest of our schools. We are looking at getting a camera system for our schools, researching the panic buttons that we would put inside the front office for our schools, ensuring that our staff wear their badges. We have a visitor management system, or Raptor, which makes sure that everyone who comes onto campus should be there. The division started a See Something, Hear Something, Say Something campaign, which has been sent out to all the school sites with posters. If you take a picture of the little QR code, it takes you to the phone numbers for all the elementaries or all the schools so that the parents can have direct contact. The last thing I want to highlight is we pay for our SROs, so we want to make sure that we define the role and how they're involved. So looking at that this year, making sure that they are making presentations to staff, students, and parents. We want to make sure that they're actively engaging with our At Promise youth. They provide outreach and intervention, and more importantly, they're involved in rapport building activities with our students. So they are actively involved on campus and seen as a partner, not necessarily just taking care of discipline. Next slide. So breaking down the departments, behavior and mental health, I'll just highlight the first and the last slide. Just working with Director Antonio Castro, to make sure that our staff receives training in recognizing the signs of emotional distress on students' part, and also implementing trauma-informed practices. And then the last one, Antonio and his team, not necessarily just providing case management and student mediation, but also providing training for our safety and security department in recognizing students who are in trauma, but also helping them de-escalate situations that may happen on campus. From a student services department, obviously Ms. Kingston and her team will work on revitalizing PBIS. We've had it, and we want to make sure that we implement it at all sites. Provide the bullying prevention information, regular meetings between the PBIS coaches, Ms. Kingston, and Student Services Department, making sure we follow up on any complaints that come in or concerns about bullying, and then also her collaborating with Behavior and Mental Health Department for counseling. So as students need support, making sure that we have interdepartmental support. Next slide. For safety and security, this is obviously a big focus for us this year. Mr. John Sachs and his team have been working closely to make sure that we make a commitment to visiting the elementary sites more consistently. We are scheduling and will be conducting active shooter drills, unfortunately. We want to make sure that everyone knows how to respond to these, but also providing support to staff, because when you have these kind of drills, there is some trauma and some concern that comes with them. So making sure that our counselors are prepared and ready to support staff and students after these drills. Making sure that we are, even as a safety team, not only the supervisors, but Mr. Sachs and their team of security officers are, again, focusing on relationships, rapport building, and engagement to build trust among our students and our families. I've already seen Mr. Sachs and his team of supervisors out there the first days of school, engaging with families and kids. So that is wonderful, and that's what we want to build on. Focusing on visibility at the school sites and among students and staff, being responsive, and again, collaborating with behavior and mental health to make sure that our team of security officers are prepared and ready to support our students and their various needs. Next slide. School sites play a big part in all this, making sure that anyone who comes on campus, staff-wise, has a district badge. They're utilizing the visitor management system, or Raptor, implementing the See Something, Hear Something, Say Something campaign, scheduling and making sure they're conducting regular drills, conducting student discipline assemblies to focus and help our students understand how to prevent bullying and cyberbullying, dealing with sexual harassment, gender respect, and providing them positive social skills, violence prevention, conflict resolution, so we can prevent a lot of these problems from happening. Implementing the 3 tiers of PBIS. We do have 3 wellness centers, which have been extremely successful at our high schools, and following up with any complaints involving Student Services Division to make sure that we can support them as well. Next slide. Next slide. There it is. Thank you. So like I said, it just doesn't fall on the district. We do need our parents and students to do their part. Very important for parents to check in with their children daily, check in with the teacher, monitor their phone use, monitor social media as much as possible, participate in the See Something, Hear Something, Say Something campaign, resolve problems at the school site, starting there, making sure we work collaboratively at the school site. And then also making sure that they connect with their students. On the student side, again, utilizing the See, Hear, Say Something campaign, using their cell phones appropriately, which I know is a challenge, respecting other people's physical and emotional well-being and property, following the PBIS expectations, refraining from recording fights if at all possible, and seeking the assistance of an adult to help them resolve their problems. We want to keep them in power and enable them to resolve their problems and find solutions peacefully. Next slide. I think the next slide is just questions if the board has any, and then I'll continue with COVID-19 update.
Board Member Fuentes.
One quick question or maybe a comment. I know we have wellness rooms in the high schools. Are we planning to bring them into the middle schools?
That is part of the discussion, Mr. Fuentes. So the team and I are talking to see what the possibility of that is. Mr. Castro and I were just talking about that in terms of searching for grants that are out there that would allow us the opportunity to kind of extend that to the middle schools.
Awesome. Thank you.
Board Member Flores.
Thank you. A quick question with respect to PBIS, and this is probably a larger conversation, but with respect to measurable success of our PBIS programs and interventions, how do we measure effectiveness? And maybe that's the word, not success, but effectiveness of our PBIS strategies beyond the sort of traditional expulsion rates and suspension rates, because the problem with statistics is they can mean lots of different things or there can be lots of different causes. Suspension rates can go down, which on the surface sounds like a good thing. And that could be because kids are generally having less behavioral issues and we're being successful in interventions. It also just means we're not suspending kids anymore. So I'm not saying that's what we're doing here, but that's the issue with that kind of statistic is it could be skewed a few different ways, particularly given the challenging year that we had with kids returning to school. And now we just started another school year and still having students adjust to being back in the classroom, in communal settings. It's important to me, and I'm sure the rest of the board, that we're helping our teachers who've had a very difficult year last year, and I think they're excited to be back, but cautiously optimistic about what tools and resources are available should we have a student in a classroom that is starting to be a challenge. And, you know, of course, we want a successful intervention, an effective intervention, not going straight to expulsion and suspension if possible, but also has to work, right? Sending the kid back without something effective doesn't continue to disrupt the classroom. So I know there's a lot I packed into that, and I think probably it's worth talking about that at a later date and a later presentation, but the effectiveness and measuring our success with that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Mr. Flores. I think when you talk about PBIS, it is difficult, I think, but you can possibly do that with surveys, looking not just at suspension rates, but also referrals, the ODRs, office discipline referrals, the check-in, check-out. So that's part of tier 3. So how many of those are we doing? Working with our principals to identify how many students are going to the PBIS store, how many tickets, the positive tickets that we use, how many are, being utilized or spread out there. But good point. I think it is good to probably operationalize a lot of those things and make sure that we have something to know whether or not a school's PBIS program is being effective. So there are some things that we can put in place, but yeah, it is part of a bigger discussion.
And you mentioned, I'm sorry, I just want to say, you mentioned something interesting, surveying the teachers. Do we currently survey teachers or have a means by which the teachers can collectively provide feedback as to what's working, what may not be?
That, I'm not sure. I can find out with Ms. Kingston. I know that she wrote one of her goals this year for the Students Services Department is PBIS. So I'm sure she has a plan of how are we going to measure success for it. So I have tons of faith in her and her team to get that information, but we'll work together to get the board some information.
I appreciate that. And perhaps, and we can discuss with the superintendent and board president, perhaps a presentation on PBIS might be in order, again, coming off of a challenging year, wanting to make sure we have the tools and resources available for our teachers and our sites.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Board Member Haro.
I have a couple of things. First of all, the good things. Again, every time I see that we have 18 elementary counselors along with our middle and high school, that just makes me so proud that we are able to offer that to our students because they do so much more than just counselors. Our wellness centers, many of us were at the wellness conference, and they were talking about putting wellness centers in and how to do it. And it was nice to be able to say, well, we have one at each of our high schools, and this is what we do. And be so proud of how it works, not just for students, but our teachers. They needed to go in there sometime and also. So I'm very grateful that we have those. But the questions that I have, that's the good part. The one thing I wanted to ask about is Colton High School through Colton PD, they have the CART program, which is a very successful program for these at-risk youth. And we used to have, at Bloomington High School, we used to have the ACTS program. And the SRO that we had at the time, along with John Sachs, and Frankie Maestas, they all ran this program, and it was fabulous. And then that SRO left us, and we don't have the program there. And there are a lot of students who could really benefit from that program, much like they do from the CART program. So actually, I don't even know who the SRO is over at Bloomington any longer, and I apologize for that. But I don't know if that's something that we could look into possibly bringing back in some form. And then my other comment would be PBIS. I agree we need to have some type of presentation on it. But before we get a presentation on how it works, we know the pyramid, we know all of that. And like you said, statistics, because that's all part of every presentation we get. I think part of those statistics, we need to do that survey to the teachers and our administrators who have to implement this program. Because honestly, not going to be popular opinion, I hear more negative things about it than positive. And they're the ones ultimately who have to implement it. So we need to hear from them and include that in the presentation. And it can include the positive, but I want to hear what are the negatives, because I know I'm hearing them personally, and I'm sure other board members are hearing comments as well. So those also need to be included in there to make it a true presentation about the program. And I would hope that the board members would want to hear the good and the bad. So that's my comment. But thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. In that part of our discussion, my discussions with Mr. Sachs, Ms. Otto is talking about both of those programs, one at Colton and at Bloomington. So he's working behind the scenes to make sure we can get that back. And so we'll do what we can. And then I know Ms. Kingston will work with her team. I know establishing PBIS coaches and her meeting regularly with them. We'll set something up so that we can get regular feedback. It is, as a former principal who implemented PBIS, it is valuable. Not always popular, but I do think that it works, and providing students the focus on, teaching them how to behave and how to respond in certain situations. There is a lot of value in it, so.
Board Member Ibarra.
Thank you, Bertha. First of all, I want to thank you for your presentation, Dr. Ortiz. Second, on student services, this board and administration has been very concerned over the last couple years, a few years, on bullying. And primarily because it seems like a lot of the incidents go unaddressed. And when it gets to the point that they have to come to the podium and address the board, and we find out that, they are not getting the assistance. My question is, as you're written here, immediate follow-up to bullying complaints received at the district, what is the procedures the district are implementing to follow up immediately, and are they universal throughout every school in our district?
Yes, and part of it is, Mr. Ibarra, starts at the school site. We hope that it starts there, just because the staff, principal, know the family, know the students, and are more aware of the situation. So starting there, they can begin the process there, filing a bullying complaint there. If the family or the student are not satisfied there, they can complete a district level complaint, at which point it starts with Ms. Kingston and her team looking into it and doing the investigation, meeting with the family and responding to the family. Most times it's successful in terms of going back to the site and trying to work through things with the family. But we also, they can come to me as well. And then we work with Ms. Kingston and I work with the site to make sure that those students are safe. So there is a process, and most times it's successful. But there are a variety of different options or strategies we use to make sure that the students feel safe and provide the family with options if they so choose to take one of those options. So
Is there a paper trail, anything that identifies that, an individual parent or student has addressed this issue with an individual within the district?
Yes, once they submit the complaint at the site level to the principal, there is a response that comes from the principal. Once they get to the district office, there's a response after the investigation that comes from Ms. Kingston to the family.
And as as we implement this, the procedure and the practice is definitely, I would assume, mentioned to all the district principals and their sites and
yes,
and assistant principals, et cetera.
Yes, and it's something we can make sure we present at the next principals meeting, just to make sure that everyone understands the process. Ms. Kingston's amazing when principals call with needing support or guidance. They can talk to others, including myself, and we absolutely respond and give them some guidance. But yeah, everyone should know, but we can absolutely provide a refresher on it.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Doreen Ojeda.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question, Aaron, a comment related to PBIS as well. I support the idea of having a survey sent out, but beyond that, whether yes or no, positive, negative, I think it would be really most effective if we showed CJUSD cares by asking the teachers, what solution do you have? What do you think we might be able to do to make this effective? Because we're truly valuing their opinion, and they probably have other ideas that maybe other people hadn't thought about. Because a classroom today is different than it was 3 years ago. There were problems 3 years ago before COVID, but they're different right now. So maybe there's some ideas that we might be able to get from our teachers that might help us through this process. I understand the reason behind PBIS, but we need to make it work in order for kids to benefit, and teachers too, because you can't teach in a classroom if you got a child who's constantly interrupting and you can't really effectively do anything about that. I don't know that we have enough manpower. Maybe that's what I don't know, but maybe teachers have come up with some ideas that we would benefit everyone if we asked them for that input, and they would feel valued for that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Ms. Ojeda. I think coming back after COVID and last year, we can absolutely, it's not a one person or one team responsibility. Again, there is that buy-in that's required. And I also think that, communicating that maybe misconception that it's not that students can't be disciplined. I think we try to find other means of correction and teach them before we get to that point, because ultimately we have to provide a safe environment for all students. But point well taken, absolutely getting the school involved is absolutely an important point, and kind of the point where we are kind of revitalizing it. Those things can be put in place at this point too, so.
Yes.
Just as a follow-up to, because this is a good point that Board Member Haro made with respect to the SROs and the ACTS program, which was phenomenal, much like the CARP program. And I didn't know, and I don't know where we are with respect to the contract with the Sheriff's Department, but would it be possible to contemplate incorporating that into the contract? Because at the end of the day, it is a contractual agreement. And to what extent that we could ask that they participate a certain percentage of, or a certain number of hours that the SRO would participate. We would provide resources. We normally provide a classroom space, an activity space, and other resources, support to run the program. But if it's not in the contract, then it's not in the contract, right? Then it's not something that either side is obligated to commit to. And so I'm wondering if it's possible to consider looking at the language, talking to the Sheriff's Department, of course, but making it more of an obligation and partnership that's in writing so that it's not. And I was around as well when that program ended. It had a little bit to do with the change in leadership because just in my experience, the captains at the stations that ultimately assign the deputies, they do change. A lot of these guys retire at 50. That would be nice. A lot of them retire relatively young. And so that change in command happens. And so from one year to the next, leadership changes and there may not be consistency. Building it into the contract would allow for more of that consistency. So just food for thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Doctor.
Oh, just the COVID update, Ms. Flores. I'm sorry. So there's a few more slides after. Oh,
Okay, moving on.
sorry. So COVID update. So the guidelines were updated and effective July 1st. This first slide just indicates that the LEAs, the school districts, do have an opportunity to establish additional guidance. At this point, the guidance is rather thin. But we do have that ability, but we are expected to work within the guidance, local considerations, and CDC. So just so that the board knows that. Next slide. So some of the recommendations, they are recommending vaccination. It's not required, but they are recommending it, optimizing indoor air quality, utilizing CDC face mask guidance, ensuring that we provide as a district testing, which we do at four sites with COVID clinic. But there is also a recommendation that staff and students get tested prior to returning, which we sent out a communication, and we provided families with additional test kits. And obviously the simple mitigation strategies, maintaining clean hands and covering our cough. Next slide. As far as the specifics to the guidance, just managing students with symptoms, staying home when sick, if they're mild or improving, making sure that we, if it is or possibly could be COVID-19, wearing a mask and getting tested as soon as possible. Next slide. The one, there was a slide before that one, but basically maybe not. All right. So following table 1, that didn't go. So when there is someone who is diagnosed with COVID-19, staying home for at least 5 days. If symptoms diminish by that time, getting tested and returning back. If someone chooses not to get tested, then they are expected to stay out the full 10 days. So that table 1, as they call it, if those diagnosed with COVID-19 has not changed since last update. Next slide. So recommending if there is someone that is exposed to COVID-19, there is still the expectation that families notify schools as soon as possible. We are still maintaining the group notification, meaning if someone in a class, we identify other students in that class and they're notified that another student was exposed. We follow table 2, which just basically means that as long as they're not exhibiting symptoms, they can continue to attend school and participate in regular activities. Next slide, and that just shows what, again, that hasn't changed for asymptomatic students or people who are exposed to COVID-19. So. Next slide. Additional considerations for district higher risk activities. So sports practice for basketball or football, instruments, the music. Anytime that there's an overexertion for students, we can put additional guidance or guidelines into our protocols, which we have done for music. I'll skip to visitors. There's nothing specific about visitors or parents coming onto campus per se. They talk more about essential direct service providers, which is our special ed kind of folks. But based on our protocols, we are expecting parents to either show vaccination, proof of exact vaccination, or negative COVID test, and they still have to follow the HR guidelines to apply for coming on campus. The large events at school, there is a safe and smart events playbook, which the state has provided, which gives guidance as far as hosting big events like graduations and even like back to school night. So next slide. Just a quick indication of what that looks like. So hosting those events outdoors if possible, breaking up into smaller cohorts, which is like grade levels, considering the use of masks at these events, depending on the level of contagiousness that we're dealing with. And then also if there's any food or drink sold outside, selling them outside and then consuming those items outside. So there is some guidance for large events, which we follow. So I just wanted to let you know that's kind of what we're basing our protocols on. I did update our school protocols, which we sent out to the school sites to give guidance as far as back to school night and other assemblies and things that are coming up at this point in the year. So next slide, I think, is just questions about COVID.
No questions? No question? Oh,
I just want to thank staff, and I want to thank for the early message to parents and families about the availability of take-home COVID tests. The districts and the schools made those available. Thank you. We took advantage of that opportunity. We decided to test the kids before the first day of school, and I don't know if that's something we'll be able to do throughout the year to make those available for families, but they're very convenient because we picked them up right at the school site, and we're able to use them to test the kids before school started. So thank you for that.
And it's nice to have, I think some schools have them on stock so that if a student is ill or having symptoms, they can provide one to the family. So as long as the state continues to provide them, we will continue to send them out to our families.
okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Ortiz and your team for the presentation. Moving on to 5.0 action items. We have action items. Okay, well, first of all, do we have any board members who would like to consider an item separately?
I'd like to pull 5.1 and 5.2.
5.1 and 5.2, okay. So I need a motion to approve action items 5.3 through 5.21.
So moved.
Okay, Fuentes and Haro. Oh, Thorian Ojeda. All in favor? Okay. All opposed? Okay. On motion by Board Member Fuentes and Board Member Thorian Ojeda, and carried on a 7-0 vote, the board approved action items 5.3 through 5.21. We have action item 5.1 and 5.2. I need, let's start with 5.1. I need a motion to approve action item 5.1.
So moved.
Okay. Thorian Ojeda. A second? Okay. I have a motion by Board Member Thorian Ojeda and second by Board Member Flores to approve action item 5.1. Is there a discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, and abstain?
I abstained. I wasn't here for that meeting.
Okay. So this is 5.1. Okay, on board, motion by Board Member Thorian Ojeda and Board Member Flores, and carried on a 6-0 vote. The board approved action 5.1. Action item 5.2. Need a motion for to approve action item 5.2. Okay, Flores and Fuentes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And those who wish to abstain?
Myself.
Okay, very good. On motion by Board Member Flores and Board Member Fuentes, and carried on a 6-0 vote with one abstention, the board approved action item 5.2. We have administrative reports 6.0. For administrative reports 6.1, which is approved disbursements, 6.2, the results of the Williams settlement, and 6.3, the approved change of order for the Jurupa Vista Elementary and Colton Middle School replacement project. Any comments on 6.1 through 6.3? Okay, moving on. Item 6.4, facilities update. 6.5, ACE update. I would like to invite our ACE president, President Parachi, to present.
Good evening. You went so fast. Good evening, Board Member Board President Flores, Board Member, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and member of the audience. My name is Cristina Parachi, and I have the privilege to serve as Association of Colton Educator President for possibly 2 more years. I just started my new term, possibly. So welcome to 22-23 school year. I visited a few schools on the first day, and it seems that everything was going smooth, at least at the schools that I visited. I was happy to see smiley faces. I was happy to see parents actually walking their kids to the classroom and being able to be greeted by a smiling teacher. And I heard some of them, the little ones are not as brave to walk in, so encouraging words, and reminded me of the years of kindergarten when we had runners. I was waiting to see if I could see any runners, but nobody was running. So on Saturday, July 30th, was the launch day, and over 1,000 employees spent the day learning about the CJUSD design plan. I don't know the exact number, but after talking with Dr. Peterson, that was the number of surveys. So I'm assuming that they attended if they left a survey. It was nice to have a workshop where certificated, classified, and management work together. I heard that in the hubs, it was funner than us alone. So if I knew it was going to be that much fun, I would have probably went to a hub. All of us got together to learn and discuss the new plan.
that many of us worked for over 3 years on. So it was nice to see it come to fruition. As you know, a lot of the history in Colton, we start, we get excited, and then we drop things. So this time we actually followed through, and it's after 3 years, we're still on talking about this. Some things will change in the next few years, and change is not always readily accepted and or implemented. We are expecting that adjustment will be made to facilitate new changes. The Association of Colton Educator Leadership is interested in working and collaborating with the district and would like to share our goals for the 22-23 school year with you. I have already shared this with Executive Cabinet. So these are the goals, not the association's goal. These are the association goals to work with the district because we have our own set of goals. I like goals and I like to cross out things. So in alignment with the SDP, A6 inclusion in the decision-making process. Our goal is to support and help in any way we can to recruit, hire, and retain highly qualified, certificated, and support staff. I know that would be Anthony's spot, but we do need support staff because if we don't have enough support staff, we cannot do our jobs in the classrooms. Improve working condition by providing a clean and safe working environment and clear and transparent communication. Also, we would like to welcome all the new administrators. Some of them already left, but I'm looking forward to working with all of them. There are a lot of them, and I know there's more coming up. So it's going to be last year was a challenging year in one way. I think this year is going to be a challenging year in a different way. So with that, board members, thank you for all your support and for your willingness to listen and solve problems.
Thank you, President Parachi. I would like to invite CSEA President Guadarrama to present.
Good evening, Board President Flores, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and members of the audience. Anthony Guadarrama, CSEA Chapter President, Colton 244. I just want to start by welcoming everybody back to the new school year. I hope everybody got a chance to rest and recharge their batteries. I know most of our staff did because that first day of school, man, site administrators, teachers, classified employees, man, they brought that buzz, they brought that energy, and it was really exciting to see. I mean, you can see looks on the students' faces as they showed up for the first day, and they were just like, in awe, like I said, everybody's out there cheering and welcoming them. It was really, really cool to see. Now, I know this year will bring, its own unique set of challenges and opportunities, and I look forward to working with Dr. Miranda, his executive cabinet, and my fellow union president to take on those challenges and come up with solutions as a team and to take advantage of all the opportunities that are presented to us. On another note, soon enough, CSA is going to send out a survey to our unit members regarding negotiations. I'm currently working with Mr. Dade to set up dates, and hopefully we can get that started as soon as possible. Other than that, it's good to see everyone. It's been a minute, so I hope everybody had a good summer and have a good evening.
Thank you, President Guadarrama. MAC update. ROP update. Okay, moving on to 7.0, we have superintendent's communique.
All right, good evening, Board President Flores, board members, executive cabinet, members of the audience online and in person. I want to start off with what Ms. Parachi was talking about earlier, our CJUSD launch day. We get to the next slide. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Jamal. So as Ms. Parachi noted, last Saturday, CJUSD hosted its first ever CJUSD launch day. Now, we had over 1,500 staff, certificated, classified, and management participate in sessions throughout the day. I personally had the opportunity to visit the hub at Joe Baca Middle School, where all the fun and the energy from the staff was amazing. It was just amazing. And staff was engaged. They were participating in the sessions and they were sharing. And it was just great to collaborate with all our people at the hub. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Ed Services, Ms. Jodie Murphy, who doesn't like to be recognized, and her team, as she led the charge. So, yes. And she doesn't do it alone. I want to give a big shout out to our awesome IT department. It's amazing job that they did. And I want to thank everybody who participated and all those who worked behind the scenes. We did several dry runs and we were prepared and it was great. And it just went, it was an amazing day for CJUSD staff. So from the bottom of the heart, my heart rather, I want to thank everybody who participated and we just look forward to making the vision happen for CJUSD. Moving on to the next slide. I want to talk a little bit about social media competition, right? Who doesn't like good competition? I certainly do. We're all very competitive and very, very competitive here in Colton, I'll tell you. So beginning this week, the CJUSD social media competition began for the 22-23 school year. The competition is going to run from September through May of 2023. So to earn points, listen everybody, school sites or departments' social media accounts must post photos, videos in categories such as student highlights, staff highlights, event highlights, school resources, learning highlights, PBIS highlights, and national holidays. And you can add more to that. There are going to be monthly prizes. So the winning school site will receive a video kit to record videos on your cell phones and a small monetary prize for your school site. Let's start earning these points, hashtag CJUSD. So if you have any questions, please contact Lynette White, our communications specialist in the communications department who's leading the charge. So with that, move on to the next slide, please. And for hashtag CJUSD Cares, I too want to welcome back our students, our staff for the first day of school. We were out there. It began yesterday, and Executive Cabinet and myself visited school sites. We met with students, with parents, with staff. There was so much energy, enthusiasm in all the school sites. I know Mr. Abbott was very excited at Colton High, so shout out to him, and along with just the feelings of joy and happiness. So I truly want to extend my heartfelt thank you to all the staff. Especially I want to recognize our M&O department for the efforts that they put out there to prepare our sites. They were just amazing. Our Mains department, our custodians, just for making the first day of school a success for our students. Our teachers, welcome back. You're extremely excited, and principals. So on behalf of the Board of Education and Executive Cabinet, I want to wish everybody a great 22-23 school year, and we're looking forward to a wonderful school year. Thank you. Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Dr. Miranda. Moving on to board member comments. Board Member Thoring Ojeda.
Thank you. First of all, welcome everyone to our new school year. And as I sit back and I reflect on a lifetime of being involved in education in some way, I think about how things have changed since I started school. Obviously, many years ago, in a little place in Minnesota, you went to school and you had naps on the floor in kindergarten, and you had glass milk bottles that smelled, from the condensation, to a very different kindergarten today that my great-granddaughter started today here in Colton. And I left there, came here many years ago, became a mom, a volunteer, and worked hard in their classrooms to give all the kids in my family, at that point it was my family, opportunities. And then I went back to school and became a teacher, which was the best job in the world, probably the hardest job in the world. But I look at how things have changed over time, and I'm really proud to sit on this board because we have looked at change. Sometimes change is really hard, but we have provided so much for the boys and girls in this district and for our staff. When we look at staff development, kudos to everybody who's had to learn how to do things differently. We have state-of-the-art technology in all of our schools. We're we're working our hardest to get our kids prepared for the future that they're going to be facing. And we don't really know, nobody knows what that future really looks like, but we are doing the best we can to provide what we have available and find funds to get more availability to do that for our children. And they deserve that, because when they leave us, there's nobody out there really teaching them anymore. And it's up to us to do that. And I thank this board for being open-minded and our trusting our administration to make the decisions that we've made to help our kids learn in the 21st century. It's just a very good feeling to know that we're trying our best, because my little great-granddaughter deserves a good future too. It was easier, I think, for us because there wasn't so much competition out there, but we have to do what we can for our boys and girls. So I thank the staff, I thank the administration for making this happen. And I'm very grateful that we have parent groups that we are working with to bring them along as well, because they're not in school, most of them. And we have to teach them as well how they can be the best parents and be the teachers for their boys and girls. And we all work together, and we do a pretty good job here in Colton. So thank you.
Board Member Ibarra.
Thank you, Bertha. Just want to take this quick opportunity to wish everyone a wonderful 2022-23 school year. Looking forward to a great opportunity for us to continue to achieve and head toward the goals that we are all looking forward to for ourselves, but also mainly for our students, so that they could achieve over this next 10 months of school. Just like my colleague Joanne mentioned, as I take a look at all the individuals out here right now and those who are not here, Colton Joint Unified School District has a wealth of talent, skilled individuals that make our district as unique as any other district in the state of California. We are so talented in every position that we have. And when we work together, there's nothing we can't accomplish. I truly believe that. As I take a look at those that are here, those who are not here, of course I can't look at them, but I know who they are. It just amazes me how we've been able to accumulate such a great pool of talent over all these years, and we're blessed. We're blessed. And the most of that is our students are blessed, because all our efforts are for them. So just want to once again wish everyone here a wonderful school year. Look forward to this year and the progress and the goals and accomplishments that we could achieve. And we'll do it all together. Thank you.
Board Member Flores.
Just want to welcome everybody back to an exciting school year. It was exciting to be able to walk the kids to school. Just an interesting thought as we were walking our kids to school. I now have a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 2nd grader. And this is the last year they'll actually all be at the same school site. So that was kind of a sad but happy moment. At some point, we're going to have to navigate high school, middle school, and elementary and drop off and pick off. But that's okay, right? That's life. But it's a beautiful part of this experience, and having the kids excited. They were genuinely excited to go back to school. And as we walked onto the campus, and there was everybody cheering, there was a red carpet. I mean, the kids were so thrilled and excited to be back. And at this point, they don't even really care about mom and dad. They just kind of run off and they go meet their friends and see who's where. It is fun to see them excited about being in school and connecting with the kids, connecting with their teachers. So it's a wonderful feeling, but it doesn't come without a lot of hard work. So everybody that makes that happen, from our classified staff, making sure our campuses are ready, to the teachers and the administrators, everybody that puts all the work into making that moment special for the kids, I just have to say thank you. As a parent and as a board member, thank you for giving us that memory and all the memories that we've had and will continue to have. So welcome back.
Board Member Fuentes.
Thank you, Board President. Well, again, welcome back, everyone, to a brand new school year, 2020, 223, couldn't even say it. My goodness. So I'm excited. I can't even say the year. And I think Anthony was right. I was out there. I drove around some of the school sites on the first day of school, and man, I saw red carpets. I saw mascots, balloons. I mean, everyone was engaged, saying hi to the parents, everything. It was exciting. Man, it was like a party going on the school campuses. So it was great to see the kids smiling, people, parents walking their kids to school. It was just an exciting time. It was great to see. I couldn't stop at all the schools, but I did drive through some of them. But it was exciting to see all of those great things going on. And then today also, I was out there today checking out the schools and everything. My daughter was excited. It's her junior year. My gosh. Some of you knew them when you knew Miss Sharon when she was 3 years old. So I used to bring her to the DLAC meetings, right, Miss Bertha? And so she's a junior this year. And then my oldest one is in second year of college. So it's amazing. I was talking to, I think it was Sandy. I was talking to Sandy earlier, and I was telling him I still feel that like they're in my arms. But at Colton Joint Unified, we do care for our students, and we do want them to succeed in life. And that's the goal. Our goal is the students, and giving them that quality of education is what we're here for. People could say whatever they want to say, but something, the students for us, my colleagues and I, our students are important, and they will always be important. Cabinet, superintendent, all the administrators that are here, even our unions and stuff, our students is the important. We want them to succeed in life. We want them to be someone. We want them to come back. We want them to come back to our district and say, I went to Zimmerman Elementary. I did this, I did that. I want them to come back. And that's a goal. That's the goal, is to bring them back to our community so they can be part of that community, so that the community can continue to grow. We are a family, and we will always be a family here at Colton Joint Unified School District. We always talk about love. There's a lot of love. And the logo that the Slover Mountain High School, you can't spell Slover without love. Well, it's love all the time. And I love the kids. I always go out there. I see the kids even away from school. Sometimes I even find them at Knott's Berry Farm or at Universal Studios, and they come running to me, Mr. Fuentes, how's it going? I'm like, whoa, So it's exciting. It's exciting when you know that your students love going to school. We do have those that don't want to get up, and now the high schoolers can get up later. So, I'm dropping off the little kids and they'll be going to bed at midnight. But something, change is always good. A lot of times a lot of us don't like change, but something, change needs to happen. And that when change happens, things happen. Good things happen. So I want to welcome everybody back. Have a great, outstanding school year. And welcome to all the new administrators and everyone. I see Principal Abbott here. I see Ms. Wendy here, Dr. Wendy Moore here, Sandy, Joda, everyone. Thank you for doing what you do and your commitment to our students. Have a great evening. We'll see you at the next one.
Board Member Sandoval. Board Member Haro.
Wow, I can't believe it, a new school year. It seems like we just went on break. I have just one question I would like to see if we could possibly get in our board correspondence, and if the board is open to it. I have looked personally on EdJoin, and I see we still have a lot of positions open, and I see some of our principals and staff posting on their personal social media that, we're hiring and it's a great place to work, and so I know they're trying to help too. What I'd like to see, if we could just get in board correspondence, like maybe a chart or something that says, these are the positions that are open, this is what we're interviewing, that type of thing. So, and this week we filled 3 positions or whatever. We don't need names or anything, just so we can get an idea, because when you look at EdJoin, and I know we're competing with other districts who are looking for people as well. But I'd just like to see where we are in the process, because I think it's so that we know. I want to thank MNO, and I want to thank Tina. I don't know how, I can still not pronounce your last name, Tina D. As our interim CBO, and MNO, I want to thank them because last year at this time when we were talking about the beginning of school, it wasn't a good situation, as the board remembers. You know, we had many complaints about that the schools weren't clean, the lawn wasn't mowed, all these different issues. And this year visiting schools, the schools are clean. You know, were they perfect? No, but they were fabulous and people were happy to be back, and people were, you know, lawns were mowed and people were just happy because our sites look great. And that is, thank you. Thank you. And please relate that not only are we grateful, but we're not the ones out there. It's our teachers and our staff who are out there. So thank you to them for all they did to make that happen. And our teachers, I want, like my colleagues did, I want to welcome you back. Distance learning was tough. Last year was even tougher because we had students who were 8th graders, but they were really still 6th graders because they missed 2 years of that social hanging out with their friends and being kids. And that trickled down, high school kids. Everybody was 2 years behind in those social skills that they needed and didn't know how to act on a campus. And I wish I could say 2022 is going to just be great. And I know that we're going to do our best to make it great, but it will have its own sets of challenges. But I also know that I became a board member now, this is going to be my 13th year. And I also know that the people who work in this district are up to those challenges because we truly do have the best people working in our district. They're people who truly care about kids. And if you don't care about kids, then what are you doing here? So, you know, I just feel that we have just the best people. And I'm so blessed to be a part of a board that sees the value in it. That's not us. We sit up here. It's all of you who do the work. So I just want to welcome you back and wish you all a wonderful 2022-23. And my quote for this evening is quite appropriate. A new school year is like a blank book, and the pen is in your hands. It is your chance to write a beautiful story for yourself and the students you serve. Thank you to all of our staff, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you. Okay. I would like to just say, first of all, I'm going to start by thanking Dr. Peterson and her directors, every single one of the directors in her department, elementary, secondary, EL, the accountability, the department, IT. I mean, I'm looking through the presentation or their goals for the year, and it's like a well-oiled machine. I mean, I could just see the thought that has gone through and in planning these goals, and ultimately, Dr. Peterson, your department is the one that touches the students and the teachers the most, and that's where we need to really focus on also. I mean, everybody's important. However, I just want to, acknowledge your hard work and this excellent plan that I know is going to pay off. So I just want to say thank you for that. Thank you, everyone. However, I do want to focus on three groups. The principals. The principals at their school sites have been working very hard, welcoming their staff, opening their doors, making sure that the teachers have what they need, and just making it a very welcoming environment. The next group is the custodians and the maintenance, the M&O. Like Board Member Haro said, I've attended some open houses already, and literally, I could not find a piece of paper on the ground. I did not, not one weed. It was just the grounds and the classrooms were just pristine. So M&O and custodians, thank you. I was at Crestmore and the principal was walking around with me and she said, oh, I gotta, I gotta take you to meet, our night crew. And we walked into the lounge and this is during open house when there's like hundreds of people out there. And there were three, the night crew, they were sitting there and they were literally, they looked exhausted. It was like, they probably worked till the last minute. And she was just singing praises. And she said, these guys here did miracles in our school. So I just, again, I wish I could have had their names. I don't have their names. But there were three of them, and they even had the light off, and they were just, you could tell they had just been working to the last minute when the doors opened for open house. The last group is, of course, our teachers. I did start attending open houses. I went to 4 already, and the teachers did an amazing job getting their classrooms ready. Amazing, and I mean, so welcoming. And when I walked into the classrooms, one thing that stood out, and I just have to say this, I'm not 6 years old, I'm not 7 years old, but where did I gravitate to when I walked into the classrooms? I gravitate to the classroom libraries. And teachers, that is such a huge part of your environment, and kudos to you, because the classroom libraries were rich and inviting to all the children in your classroom. So I took pictures and some of them were absolutely just amazing. And also, I saw a lot of flexible seating, with the cute little mushroom seats instead of the chairs, and some of them had sofas. And so it was just a very child-centered. Our classrooms are child-centered. So for that, thank you. With that, we are going to adjourn into closed session to discuss the items listed on the closed session agenda. Okay. Thank you.
session. We have item 10.1. On motion by Board Member Fuentes and second by Board Member Flores and carried on a 7-0 vote, the board voted to approve a court-ordered payment of fees in case number CIVDS 1935517. Item 10.2. On a motion by Board Member Fuentes and second by Board Member Ibarra, the board approved the following: a certificated coach, 1, varsity football assistant boys, certificated regular staff, 6, SDC teacher, Lincoln, speech therapist, PPS, 3, school nurse, PPS, instrumental music teacher, DO Ed Services, TK, 6, 1 classified coach for head varsity wrestling boys, and 5 volunteers. We are adjourning at 9 o'clock.